In a world of endless noise, one sound cuts through. GC Radio Hub. Your world, your sound. Imagine your favorite voices following you everywhere. From your smartphone to your car, your smart TV, even your virtual assistant. GC Radio Hub connects you to a universe of content. Check out our wonderful interviews on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, live music shows and podcasts. All at your fingertips. Android TV, Apple TV, Roku, Fire Stick TV. We're there wherever you are, because the only way to stay connected is to get connected. Download the GC Radio Hub app today and let your world come alive.
Okay, welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Coach's Corner Unfiltered. I'm Paige Suchet, professional boxer from Canada, and with me, my host, two-division world champion, world-class trainer John David Jackson. This podcast is all about keeping it real, giving you the raw side of boxing from both generations. You'll hear my view as a fighter coming up and John's perspective from the old school. And today we got a special guest, a former WBA lightweight world champion and the first world champ out the legendary Kronk's Gym, Helmer Kenty.
All right.
For the show, what's up?
Ooh.
Yeah, John, you saying that, but you used to beat me up in the gym. You didn't say that when you were beating me up in the gym all the time.
Yeah.
I didn't beat you, bro. How you doing, man? You good?
Everything's good. Everything's going good. What about yourself? Everything's good with you?
Can't complain, man. I can't complain. You know,
Good.
I got my health, family good. That's all that
That's-
counts.
That's good. That's good. So, how long you known John for, Helmer?
Oh, wow. It's been a good little while. I think John came to Kronk, what is it, late 80s? I'm sorry, late 1980, early 1981.
1988.
Yeah. So yeah, John, he's been with the Kronk team for a good number of years, and of course, we all provided each other extremely good sparring, and so every time we got ready for a fight, it was kind of easy to be prepared because we had the best boxers in the gym in which we worked out in.
That's true. That's true.
So before we get started, for people that don't know and like people that are watching, where'd you grow up?
I actually grew up in Columbus, Ohio, so I did all of my amateur boxing in Columbus, Ohio. However, I knew Emmanuel Stewart and, of course, Tommy Hearns when I was coming up through my amateur career. I won two national AAU championships as amateur. I also represented the United States in the first ever World Games that was in Havana, Cuba. This was way back in 1994, before you guys ever even thought of, probably. But but it was way back in the day, and then when I got ready to turn pro, actually after 76 Olympics, I tried out for the 76 Olympic team. I lost in the semifinals to Aaron Pryor.
Oh yeah,
trials.
Pryor. Before you
Yeah.
say that, I seen that you fought him in the amateurs. How many times did you only fight him once?
No, we fought 7 times in all.
And your teammate Tommy Hearns
Yeah.
fought amateur too.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you guys both, like, who fought him first?
Well, I fought. I
Yeah.
think I had. I think I fought. I fought. In fact, I fought Aaron Pryor in this very same tournament that Tommy lost to Aaron Pryor in. It was in the. I think it was in the 1973 National Golden Gloves.
Right.
I lost to him in the quarterfinals, and then Tommy lost to him in the finals of the. So yeah, that was just a very tough decision.
What did you think what did you think of Aaron Pryor as an amateur? Because I watched a lot of videos of Aaron Pryor, and that guy just looked like a maniac, coming with a bunch of haymakers, so unorthodox, And you guys, the Kronk's Gym, like I watched you and Tommy Hearns. You guys are pretty traditional boxers. So, like, what like in the early
Yeah.
amateur? What did you think of him going into that fight?
Yeah, well, like I said, I had fought him a few times before then, so I pretty much knew what to expect. I mean, he really is. He's coming like a hurricane, and you have to use a lot of lateral movement, of course, using your jab, trying to keep him off balance as much as you possibly can, because he really is. If he can catch you with a good shot and he's prepared for it, and you're not prepared for it, you're in a lot of trouble.
How many fights did you have as an amateur?
As an amateur, altogether 132 amateur fights. I won 104 and I lost 32 of them.
You fought
However,
some,
I
go
must say I want to quantify that by, of course, saying that I turned to the open division, which is the more experienced division. You're not supposed to turn open until you're 16. I turned open when I was 14 years of age,
mm,
but it was because we just didn't. In Columbus, Ohio, it was a new program. We just didn't have a lot of boxers that were doing extremely well. So it was easy for my coach to turn me or put me into the open division, because even in the open division, I can beat most of the guys there, even at the age of
So
14.
when you, so I have a question. So going back to when you first started boxing, you started boxing how old?
I was 13 years of age when I first started boxing.
What was your first gym that you went to? Was that
Uh, no, I actually boxed my amateur boxing in Columbus, Ohio. And I always tell Emmanuel Stewart, well, I used to always tell Emmanuel Stewart, well, I used to always tell everybody that interviewed me, um, I we used to box Kronk boxing all the time, um, when I was an amateur. So Columbus would come up to Detroit and box Kronk,
what
and
was the
Kronk
gym in Columbus, Ohio called?
it, it, it was called the IBC Recreation Center.
Okay.
IBC, yep, IBC Recreation
There's some
Center.
good boxers in that gym, or was it like just you?
Oh no, there were some very good boxers in the gym. Forrest Winchester, as my brother, he won a national tournament. Pete Seward, he won a national tournament. Richard Roselle, he won several national tournaments. It was a very competitive gym, and we used to compete against Detroit on in a lot of different situations. We would go
mm,
to Detroit. We would go to Cincinnati. Of course, that's where Aaron Pryor is from. That's one reason why I fought him so many times. And of course, we'd fight against Toledo, Ohio, also. So in the amateur, I always believe that it's important to stay busy. To get as much experience as you possibly can, and because you can actually lose every fight that year, and when you get to the national championships, if you
Yeah.
win 5 fights in a row, you're the national champion. So
Uh,
even
yeah.
if you lost all of your fights earlier in that year, you could still become national champion if you win all 5 of your fights in that national
so
championship.
when did you make the transition to Kronk's boxing gym?
I made the transition after, I think it was after my third professional fight. After my third
So
professional fight,
you were still fighting pro back in Ohio.
Columbus. Right. I was
Yeah.
fighting pro back in Columbus. And I just saw how good Emmanuel was doing with Tommy Hearns. He was moving Tommy Hearns up very, very fast. They were filling up the Cobo Arena in Detroit. They were just doing extremely well. The gym itself was just doing extremely well.
So how'd you make that transition? Was it easy going from your old gym to there, or was it difficult?
No, it was extremely easy. Like I said, everybody in the Kronk gym, everybody that I worked out with already knew extremely well, because I would see those guys all the time. Like I said, whether it be at a national tournament, or whether it be in just a regular boxing show, I would see those guys all the time. So I knew everybody in the Kronk gym just about.
And
So who,
when
who
you went,
well,
yeah,
go
go
ahead.
on.
Go do your thing.
Now, when you went there, like, how was this? Because it's a pro gym. Like, there's a lot of pro fighters there. So, how's it set up there? Like, you go there, how do they put you align with everybody else now?
Well, that was one thing about the Kronk Gym that a lot of people don't understand is actually the Kronk Gym was actually a city recreation and parks department recreation center. They just had a boxing gym, a real small, and I'm telling you, that gym was really, really small. A real small boxing gym,
Yeah. Ooh.
a really small boxing gym in the basement of the recreation center. So and every time you hear that, you sound like it sounds like that's a bad situation. But to be honest with you, that was probably the best situation you could possibly be in,
Yeah.
because one, it kept your focus on boxing. Two, it was extremely hot in that basement
Hot.
because the boiler room was down there,
And the
so
thermostat
steam
was
was
broke.
coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, in terms, yeah, and steam was coming from they were coming from the boiler room right into the gym. So it was always hot. It was always extremely hot in there, and then you got another 15 people in there working out at the same time. And it's pretty tight. But I'm telling you, I can't think of a better environment to have boxed in,
Yeah.
because there's no way you're going to go into the Kronk boxing gym and have some other type of focus. Your
Okay, so
focus
I
is
want to know, like, how did like the workouts work? Like, what was a day like, a week like in the Kronk's gym training? Like,
uh,
how was your schedule? Like, how was your regimen? You wake up, you do this, you get to the gym, you
yeah,
guys are on
yeah,
base, but what are you guys doing over there?
yeah. You primarily, you wake up. Our training situation was, and especially when we're getting close to a fight. Normally, about 2 weeks, we go into a hotel. But coming up to the fights, normally what we would do is we'd run 6 o'clock in the morning, every morning, of course, and then we'd get something to eat, sit around and rest a little bit, and then about 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we go to the gym and work out, and then of course afterwards come back and try to relax as much as we possibly can. But the
Mhm.
focus was really on that, 2, 3 hours that you were working out at that gym.
How many guys are training at a time in your sessions? Like,
Yeah, like anywhere from 15 to 20 guys, and it would be hard for you to believe that if you saw how small that gym was.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, it was extremely small.
Yeah. So,
what were you
question for
gonna
you. I
say?
want to go back to your career. When you fought Ray Leonard
Yeah, I
as
fought
an
Ray
amateur.
Leonard. Yeah, as an amateur in the finals of the National Chrome Glove Championship in 1973, and yeah, it was just a really close fight. So
Yeah.
John, as you know, anytime the fight is that close, you're always going to think you won the fight. So I did. I thought I won that fight, but of course Ray got the decision, and yeah, I
Right.
mean, it's just you just got to chalk that up as experience.
Yeah. I'm looking at your record. You fought Roger Stafford.
Yeah,
Did you
Roger
fight
Stafford.
Charles? Yeah. When you fight Charles Carter, was he the same Charles Carter won the 80? Was on the 80 Olympic team, or was it a different Charles Carter?
Oh yeah, no, that's a different Charles Carter. Yeah,
Okay.
that's a different.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
hmm
You fought some good guys in the amateurs, man. From I wish your amateur record up. You fought a lot of good guys in the amateurs, man. So you had some tough fights all around.
Yeah, no question about it. I thought I really did. I loved my amateur career, because it was extremely competitive, and most of the guys I fought, it was very hard for me to just say I'm going to win the fight. It's going to be an easy fight for me to win.
Yeah.
It was never that situation. I was always fighting guys that was extremely competitive, but I appreciated that because it made me better and better.
Yo, Helmet, you had a slick style. Like, who influenced your style?
I just think it was a lot of different fighters. When you go to those national tournaments, you really do. You get a chance to see fighters from all over the United States. And then I went to the World Games, and and fight against fight in some of these international tournaments
Yeah.
or international boxing shows.
Who, who
You
are some
get you get
guys?
a chance. Mhm.
Who are some of the names that like really like that you remember when you went to these tournaments? Like, yo, he,
Yeah,
I like,
I'd have to say if it was anybody, that's right. It's going to be someone like the Ray Lawrence. It's going to be like the Aaron Pryor's. And of course Tommy Hearns. I never actually fought him as an amateur, but in that tournament that I lost to Aaron Pryor in 1973, Aaron Pryor ended up fighting Tommy Hearns in the final of that tournament, and I had my eye on Tommy Hearns. I guess I should say that entire tournament because I knew he was
Yeah.
going to be someone to really compete against.
Okay, so back to amateur. You won 2 national titles back to back. What kind of mindset did that take?
Yeah, I really do. I think I always felt myself, if I'm in good condition, I really can. I can compete with just about anybody. And those 2 national championships I won them in 90, I won it in 94 and I won it in 95. And in fact, the one I won in '94, that was one of those fights that I got revenge on Aaron Pryor.
Mm.
I beat him in the final of the National AAU tournament, and then I fought again fought again in the National AAU tournament in 1975, and I was in excellent condition, and it showed because I not only won the tournament, but I was also voted outstanding boxer of the entire tournament. So it did work out very well for me.
So, question for you on that one. So, did you win when you won the title? Did you win like one USA and then one AAU and then one Golden Gloves? Or did you win like 2 Golden Gloves or 2 AAU titles?
No, they're both the titles I won were actually AAU titles. I
Okay.
was never able to win a Golden Glove title, and I'm telling you, I competed in five. I competed
Yeah.
in 5 of those Golden Glove titles, but I was never able. I got to the finals, a couple of times, but I was never able to win one of those Golden Glove
Well,
titles.
let me ask you a question. We're kind of from the same era. You were 4 years before, well, actually 8 years before me. But
Mm-hmm.
didn't it seem to you like the National Golden Gloves was more? They were more like pro style than AAU. AAU was more, you had too many rules, and if you duck too low, you got to take points from it. If certain things you couldn't do in the AAU, but like Golden Gloves, you could get down in Golden Gloves. You
Yeah.
can do all kind of crazy stuff. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. I think there are a lot more rules with regard to the AAU, and than there are in the Golden Gloves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
Thank you.
more like you said, you can pretty much do what you want to do in that Golden Glove. It's more like a professional fight, I guess.
Exactly. That was it. Yeah. That was it. Yeah.
Now, what do you guys? This is a question for both of you guys. What do you guys think about the amateur boxing nowadays compared to how it was back then?
John, you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
You do it. Go on. You do your thing.
Yeah.
You go.
One thing I noticed now, it just seemed like to me that the guys that are coming up now, like I said, I fought 132 amateur fights. The guys that go to the national tournaments now, they may have had 5, 10 fights in that particular year. But every year when I went to the national gloves before getting to the national gloves, I probably had 10, 15, 20 fights in that particular year.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I just think you really do. I think you have to. I mean, the National Golden Glove tournament is not a tournament that you want to go to and not be prepared. Because if you're not,
Yeah.
you're going to meet a whole bunch of guys that are supremely prepared.
Yeah. So,
Way back.
John,
Yeah. Man, pretty much I'm on the same level he was. It was, to me, the Golden Gloves were more like pros to me. The style was different. I mean, amateurs, the AAU, yeah, more, technical and the points taken from this, points taken from that. In the Golden Glove, you could duck sometimes as low as you wanted to duck. They wouldn't take a point from you. You just
Yeah.
fought.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's certain things you can get away with that you couldn't get away with the AAU boxing. They were more strict and more stern on the rules and what you
but
could
you
do, what
is
you
not
couldn't do.
listening. That was not the question I asked you. He answered the question.
Okay,
You
that's
is
what's the question.
I said, yo,
What's the difference?
what do you think about the amateur boxing now versus back then?
Yeah, I don't really follow today's fighters in amateur like I used to. But from what I hear, it's not what it used to be when we fought. So it's like you don't have as many fights yearly like we used to have. We had a bunch of fights. You had two tournaments. You had regional tournaments, district tournaments that you could get out of just to get to the nationals. Um, it's less states now than it used to be to be able to qualify. So I think boxing, you know, as a whole, even with the pros, it's a lot different than it was as amateurs. But I think amateur boxing is completely different. The rules and regulations are kind of different also. I mean, it's before it was more open, but now it's like certain people own certain franchises and they dictate who goes to what national tournaments. So it's a lot different than it was back in my day and in Helmer's day.
All right, Hilmer, back to you. Tell us about who your toughest opponent was. Who you feel your toughest opponent was
Uh,
as a
as a professional or as amateur?
Pro
professional,
amateur.
pro
I
and
thought,
amateur, actually.
well, amateur, I would definitely have to say Aaron Pryor was probably my toughest fight. I also fought Howard Davis, who actually won the
Yeah.
Olympics. I lost a close decision to him. He was extremely talented. He was just extremely talented. But Aaron Pryor, he was he not only was he talented, you can tell he came in to win each and every fight. There was no question about it. He was coming in to win the fight. Not only was he coming in to win the fight, he was coming in to get you out of there as soon as he possibly can. So I really would. I'd have to say that those were the two toughest guys that I would compete against in the 135-pound division.
John, you want to ask him, or
In,
I got a lot more
no,
questions?
since in 75, no, in 75, I think you fight. Did you fight a Russian fighter in like a January of 75? I think it was.
Yeah, I did. I'm trying to remember his name,
Was that
but
your first international fight?
no, that wasn't my first international fight. But that guy actually ended up. That guy won the World Games. That guy won the World
Okay.
Games, and I really did. I really did. In those scenarios, they're either two USA judges and one American judge,
Exactly.
or it's two Russian judges
Or two.
and one. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's either one way or the other. And in that particular fight, I really did. I thought I beat that guy, but it was one of those situations where you had two Russian judges and one American judge, and at the same time, the guy was also he was he was a World Games winner. He had just won the World Games. So, but
Okay.
anytime, and John David can attest to this, anytime a fight is really, really close, I'm sorry, you're gonna feel like you won the fight. I mean,
Yeah.
anytime a fight is really, really close, I mean,
Mhm.
you're gonna feel like you win because those are the punches you're counting. You're counting the punches that you connect with, not the punches that hit you.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So you start your professional career at Bronx. I mean, at Kronks, right? So, you become the first world champion at that gym. How does that feel?
Yeah, that it really was. That was something else, and I think it was a surprise. Well, I don't think I know it was surprise. It was a surprise to everybody, at the Croc Gym, and in fact, everybody in the world because Tommy Hearns, he was knocking everybody out. I mean, I think for his first 17 fights, it was all knockouts. I mean, nothing but knockouts.
Yeah.
So everybody thought, of course, he was going to be the first champion. And it was just a situation in which I got the opportunity. I had just got into the top 10 of the rankings. And you have to be in the top 10 in order to compete for a world championship fight.
How many
So
fights did you have at that time?
at that time, I had 16 fights. I had 16 fights at that time. And then I got that shot at the title, and I wasn't sure whether I was really prepared for it or not because I just didn't have a whole bunch of experience. And the guy that was the champion at the time, Ernesto Espana, he really did. You could tell he was very
Yeah.
experienced. He was a very good fighter. But I really
Where,
did.
where did the fight take place?
I'm sorry.
Where did the fight take place?
It took place right
In
in
Detroit.
Detroit at Joe Louis Arena. They had just built that arena, Joe Louis Arena. They had just built it, and so
Right.
yeah, we had to fight. And in fact, Joe Louis was there at the fight when I won the championship.
Was there a lot of people in that crowd sold out?
Yeah, 16,000 people.
Nice.
Packed.
How was that feeling going into the arena?
I really was. I thought I had a very good training camp. I thought my training camp was excellent, and I knew I was in very good condition. Uh, and one of the things I figured out by watching film is that my opponent, you know, he would try to keep up with whatever pace you brought to the table. I mean, if you came to the fight and you were boxing extremely slow, he'll go with that. But if you go at a fast pace, he'll try to keep up with you at the fast pace also. And I was accustomed to fighting in a manner with real fast hands, real fast speed, moving around a lot and coming to my opponent with a fast pace. And that's what I brought to that fight.
How many rounds did you guys go that night?
I stopped him in the ninth round.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so so I go to school on Monday after your fight.
hmm
And my teacher, and he's cool cat, and Mr. Man, he said, listen, he said, man, did you see the fight this past weekend? I said, yeah. He see that brother? Because every round you ran out of corner. You ran out of corner.
Yeah, right.
He said, you see this brother? I said, did you beat the brakes off this cat? He's talking, man, listen, for like 2 weeks, all he did is talk about you every morning. I said, at that point, we hadn't met yet. So I said, man, that's a bad dude. He said, man, yeah, but I said, the way you did it was so cool because every round you just ran out real cool,
Right,
not
right.
fast, in a cool manner. And he started beating the brakes off this cat. He said, man, this cat, he loved you. From that point on, you had a fan, man. He loved you, bro. Because
Yeah,
the way you did it, you dismantled this cat so nice. The way
yeah,
you broke him down real nice. But the way you ran
yeah.
out, every round you ran out real cool. Because you ran across the ring.
Yeah, that was part of the strategy because I knew he couldn't keep up with the pace. I was used to fighting at a real fast pace, and I knew he wasn't going to be able to keep up with that pace. I knew he had a lot more experience than I did, but I
Yeah.
really did. I figured I could bring that fast pace and do a few other things that I'm sure he wasn't accustomed to, and maybe kind of break him down that way.
Yeah. Well, the cool part about that was, man, so, Davey Armstrong was a teammate of mine. They went to Chrome. And it's funny because he'd always tell me about you. When he come back home, he said, man, there's his brother in the he said, lightweight. He said, can fight his butt off, man. I said, really? He said, and then when he said, I want you to watch this fight this coming weekend. That when you fight for the title, he said, watch this, brother. Everything I told you is true. So, man, I watched that fight. I said, damn, because you beat the brakes off this cat. It was the way you did it was just so sweet. I mean, you were so nice and so cool with the way you did it, man. You broke him down real nice, and then so, everything David told me about you was true. And then, like I said, my teacher loved you, bro. I mean, you had a fan for life after that. The way you just ran across the ring every round. I mean, it was cool the way you did. Because you would trot, and then as soon as you got to you met him, you hit him with a combination.
Right, right. Yeah, I really was. I was trying to, and John David, you know how important that kind of thing is. I was trying to send a message to him, and I was trying to send that message as early as I possibly could.
You sent it.
Yeah.
You sent the message. Oh yeah, no doubt.
Okay. So you got an eye injury in that Sean O'Grady fight.
Right.
What was that time like after that fight? Like your mentality? How were you thinking?
Yeah, that part didn't work out very well. In that particular fight, I really did. I felt like I should have pulled out of that fight. I just wasn't 100%. Don't get me wrong, Sean O'Grady, he fought probably the best fight of his life because I've never seen him fight as well. So he probably fought the very best fight of his life. And he fought an excellent fight. There's no question about it. But I just don't think you saw 100% of Hilmer Kenty in that particular fight.
Yeah, injuries like that can change everything. What
Oh, yeah.
advice would you give young fighters knowing when to rest or like step back?
Yeah, I think the one thing I would always say is really, I think you have to be in 100% condition. I mean, I think you have to really, really work hard. And not only working hard, John David, as you well know, you got to get up and you got to run every single morning. I mean, you need to be doing that every single morning.
Yeah.
And as you run and you work out, I mean, you really do. You get to the point. You can get to
Yeah.
the point before your fight that you start feeling how strong your legs are. You can
Yeah.
start feeling how strong your arms are. You start to feeling the conditioning that you've worked so hard to achieve.
Fine. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Looking back, for both you and John, looking back, what moment defines your career the most? The win, the actual win, or what comes after the win? Like, what's next? What you
Uh, for me, it really well. I mean, it defined my career, but that win against Ernesto Espana, it was probably it was the pinnacle of my career. There's no question about it. And I really do, and I say it's the pinnacle because of two different things. One, of course, I won a world championship there. Two, I think that was a fight that was a perfect fight for me in the sense that everything that
right?
I planned to happen happened in that fight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel you.
So I got a question for you. I'm going to take it back a little bit. So, because it happened to me. So when you and Emmanuel left here, and I tell people, Emmanuel and I talked about why I left him. I said, listen, I left you because at the time, Tommy was number one, and Michael Moore was number two. You had the guys, and then you had new guys coming in, Gerald McClellan, Frankie Lott, all these young guys. I said, I think I've lost my place with you. I said, I need to leave because the tension that I was once getting from you, I no longer get. And to me, he didn't like my style because I wasn't Tommy. And I said, I'm not gonna not listen. I box the way I box. If you don't like it,
Mhm.
you don't like it. I said, yes, I mean, you signed me for a reason, but when I wouldn't convert to what he wanted me to do, we had a problem. I said, man, because I was like you, I was a boxer. That's what I did best. Knocking people out when they came, they came. When they didn't, I'd rather beat you up anyway. And so I'm just asking you this question: what was the reason for your split from Emmanuel? That was my split because he wasn't giving the time that I felt I needed. Plus, and a lot of people, I talked about a lot of people. When I was in Kronk, Emmanuel never trained me. You Luther Burgess, you had Sammy Poe, all these guys in the gym. He never trained. Only time he would train me is when the cameras came on. Then he wanted to
Right,
train me, and I
right,
said, that's not my thing. I said, I got to feel comfortable the whole time.
right.
And my style wasn't what boxing slick and being slick wasn't his thing. He wanted to be
Hmm.
like Tommy. I said, everybody can't be
Right,
like Tommy. We'd have
right,
talks all the time. I said, everybody can't be like Tommy.
right, right.
And
Absolutely.
I'll be, honestly, in the Kronk style, your style was one that I liked to go to Kronk because you boxed. You boxed
Right,
your ass off. Hey, I'm
right.
just being honest. You could box your ass off. And see, that was what I liked because what you brought to the table. But I guess my question is, why did you leave? Because I know you weren't his favorite fighter because you were knocking cats out the way Tommy was.
Yeah. Well, the reason why I really left Emmanuel is because we had a disagreement in that O'Grady fight when I lost that
Mm,
championship. I really did. I I never liked pulling out of fights,
right.
but I was not feeling well in that particular fight, and I told Emmanuel I thought it was best that I pull out that particular fight. Emmanuel ended up saying later on that he never said that, but Emmanuel told me if I did not pull out of that fight, that they were going to strip me of my championship. And that was the main reason why I went on with the fight. But that was a huge problem for me, and I don't think we had a real connection after that particular fight. It kind of fell apart. Don't get me wrong, I do want to say this about Emmanuel Stewart. I honestly believe that he is the very best trainer not just the very best trainer that I've worked with. I think Emmanuel Stewart is the very best trainer in the world ever. I don't think there's a trainer that's anywhere near as good as Emmanuel Stewart is.
Well, I tell you, I say that to everybody. To me, Emmanuel was better. He strategically best. That's he could break down a fighter for you. But as far as teaching you how to break that guy down and serve punches, I didn't get that in him. Because one day I said,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
you
do
had
it. I said, You know,
Yeah,
the
you had to
strategic,
do
but
that.
breaking the fight down, breaking the fighter down, your opponent, he was great at that. I give him credit. He could break a fighter down for you like nobody else.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You had to come in and do those things. You had to come in and do the things that needed to be done. But that's right. He could, and I think one of the reasons why he was able to do that is because if you ever went over to Emmanuel's house, you would see that's what he was doing. He was watching films all day long. He's
Yeah,
watching films of different fighters all day long. And when I fought that championship fight, when I won the championship, I really did. I just watched the film and I watched the film and I watched the film and I watched the film. And it
yeah,
was a lot in the film that I have had of the guy that of Ernesto Espana, who's the guy I won the championship from. It was a fight that he looked extremely good in. I mean, he did extremely well in. And so a lot of times it's tough for you to watch a fight like that because it kind of takes a little bit of your confidence away. But I just continued to watch it, and after a while, I started noticing some things that he just didn't do as well,
yeah,
and so I formed some holes in his arsenal.
yeah. No, I hear you. Yeah, I like people that's saying, to me, he was, at strategy, he was the best. But teaching, short moves, that one is, and me and the man talked all the time, even after we split. And I said, man, I like what you do in the gym because it's a lot of this kind of BS. Because what you do is, he might hit you, you might hit his neck, and the man will fall back like you broke it all right. He's funny
Yeah,
cat. He said, I got to step to the public. I said, I understand what you're doing, man. I said, the guy hates that hard. But
right,
I liked it
right.
but mentally, he would help fighters in a way that they didn't realize. All that stuff.
Mm.
Some guys fell for that kind of stuff.
Yo, John, fix your mic. Fix
What?
your mic. Fix your mic.
Yeah, I'm trying.
I think,
I
I
don't
think you
know.
might
Like,
be
real.
recovering.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're kind of going in and out a little bit. Yeah.
I don't know what this is. It ain't the mic. I know it's more the.
Himmler, so you defended your title a couple times, or a few times. What was the hardest fight that you felt that you had defending your titles? Which one?
Uh, I really do. I think the title fight where I won the championship. I think that was probably well, question. No, I should say no question about the toughest fight was the fight that I lost the championship, and but there again, I think the reason why that was a tough fight is simply because I wasn't prepared for the fight. I was sick. That's just the bottom line. There's no way that you can really is. There's no way that you can be. Uh, there's no way you can box in a boxing match if you're not 100%. And the reason why I always say that is because boxing is not like basketball or football.
Uh,
Basketball or football, you can hand the ball off, you can pass the
yeah,
ball, you can get some help.
yeah,
In boxing, if you're not prepared, you're not going to win. That's
yeah,
all it is to it. And so that
yeah.
that was the only problem. I just thought to myself that the fight I liked the best for myself, of course, was the time that I won the championship. I think that was probably the only time in my career that I was 100% or 110% maybe even. That was probably the only time in my career that happened.
Now, how many fights after losing the belt did you keep fighting until you retired?
Yeah, I think I still had another 4 or 5 fights. Um, but I had a lot of issues. It seemed, I had broke, like I said, I had broke up with Emmanuel Stewart.
Yeah.
It seems like
So
my
you felt
training, my
like
training.
you've retired at the right time?
Yeah, well, it was the right time for me. I really do. I think I still had a lot of fight left in me. I really was. I was having a lot of problems with my confidence, though. You know, And there again, I think that was simply because of that championship fight that I lost. It really
Yeah.
did hurt my confidence a lot.
Right. So life people like after they're done retiring, a lot of athletes have a tough time transitioning. How was it for you?
It really wasn't. For me, it wasn't a tough time transitioning. I always knew that boxing. To be honest with you, when I was coming up as a youngster, football was the sport that I really wanted to play.
Yeah.
It's just that I wasn't big enough. In boxing, of course, I went to boxing, and of course,
Yeah.
I'm fighting guys that are
You're
real
the big
small,
guy.
just like
You're
I
the
am.
big guy in your weight class.
Yeah, that's right. I'm the big guy in my weight class at that
Yeah.
particular time. But when you're going up against guys in football, I knew I was never going to be a
Yeah.
200-pound, football player. But in boxing, of course, you're boxing against guys that are the same size that you are. So regardless of how big I got or how small I am, I'm still going to fight guys that are competitively, my weight, I guess I should say.
Yeah. So how'd you transition to the after retiring?
Yeah, so after retirement, I did. I really did. I ended up at first. I started a little boxing team and worked with some boxers for a while.
Where
Then
where out of what state?
in Detroit at the local recreation centers, and then not long after that, I started working at a leasing company. It was a computer leasing company,
Yeah.
and I was a account representative for those guys, and I did that for a number of years. And I actually started my own company. I started an
Uh,
electrical supply company, which I ran for 10 years, and then I started working with an IT staffing firm. And after that, I retired from
you
there.
ventured into a lot of different things after boxing, eh?
I did. And that was one thing I always wanted to do. I, never wanted to be considered as just a boxer.
Yeah.
Always knew that was the thing that was, going to get everybody's attention. But
Hmm.
yeah, I did certainly want to do some other things.
Did you have a family? Did you have kids?
Yeah. So I actually have two sons. I've got a son now that's 50. I got one son that's 50 years old, and then I've got another son that's 25 years old.
Oh, same age as me.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, yeah. So yeah.
Oh, but so none of them got into boxing?
None of them got it. Neither one of them got into boxing. And I always told my kids, boxing is something, and I'm sure as you well know, Paige,
Yeah.
boxing is something that you gotta want to do.
Fact.
You
Fact.
can't do this because
Yeah.
your father did it or your
Yeah.
brother did it. No, it's got to be something you want to do because once you step inside those ropes,
Yeah.
it's all on you. It really is. I mean,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you know that by now.
And so, did your kids growing up, did they know who like their dad was? Did they be like, yo, my dad's world champ? Or,
Well, my first child, of course, he did. He
yeah.
knew a lot about that, and of course, people favored him a lot. They were real nice to him because
Yeah.
his father's a world champion. But my son that's 25. He didn't get a chance to see any of that. Of course, he's seen some films and things of that nature,
Yeah.
but he hasn't seen a lot of those. He never got a chance to see a lot of those fights.
That's nice. That's nice. What's one piece of advice you'd give to young fighters today trying to climb up the ranks and build a long-lasting career?
I will tell you, the very best advice I can give to any fighter is really, I just think the thing that's most important is to be in tip top condition. I
Tip
mean, be
top.
in the yeah,
Okay,
tip
but
top
so
condition.
like tip top condition, like I for me, everybody has different different ways of training. Everyone has their own secrets. Well, what was your like secret of getting into shape? Like how you getting into shape? Because I want to know how you old guys used to get into shape. Because you guys used to fight 15 rounds. We fight like 12 rounds now. And every time I watch you guys fight, you guys were fighting like at a high pace. Like it wasn't like how nowadays a lot of us just be laid back and whatever. But yo, you like both fighters were really fighting and throwing every punch with intention too. Every punch with intention. Like every punch was like, ah,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah,
So
yeah.
how are you training to like, how you guys training?
Yeah, I really did. With me, it really was one of the things that I did when I ran in the morning. I
Mm.
ran fast. I mean, I wasn't just jogging.
Yeah,
I was running at a I was running at a pretty
yeah,
fast pace.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really important.
Trying to go as
You
fast
know,
as you can, pretty much.
I'm sorry.
Trying to go as fast as you can, pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah. Try to go as fast as you
Yeah.
possibly can. And try to keep that particular pace. But I think it's also important
How
to
many
do it
miles were
do
you
it on,
running though?
anywhere from 3 to 5 miles a day.
Okay.
Right, and I think the other thing that's really important is to be consistent with your running. You got to make sure you're consistent with your running because it doesn't matter how good you are, how fast you are, how good your combinations are.
Yeah,
If your
fuck.
if your
If you're not
wheels aren't
consistent, man,
yeah
you're dying out in the later rounds.
yeah if your
Yeah,
wheels aren't working, you in trouble. I mean,
yeah.
if your wheels are not working very well, you got some serious problems.
So what about bag drills or anything like that? Did you do any particular bag drills?
Bag Joe, yeah, I'm not even familiar with what that is.
Like when you were working on the heavy bag, how would you work on the heavy bag?
Oh yeah, so yeah, I really, I did. I always saw that heavy bag as my opponent, and
Hmm.
everything I would do in the gym, or everything I would do in the fight, that's what I would pretty much do on the speed bag, and I mean, I'm sorry, on the heavy bag, and that is primarily because that's what got me prepared for that particular fight. It really is. That's what got me prepared. And then you had your speed bag. You did the it, the one thing I think
Did you
that
get
I would
do a lot of mitts back then?
we did a lot of mitts back then. One
Hmm.
of the things that I wish I had a lot more access to back then was the double end bag. And the reason
Word.
why I say that is because it keeps your head moving. You can't, because you hit that double end bag, it goes away and then it comes back at you. If your head's not moving, it's gonna hit you right in the face.
Hmm.
So that double end bag, I've learned how important that bag is now, which I wish I had knowledge of, back when I was actually boxing.
What was it? I well, what was one of your like most favorable like memory like growing up in the Kronk's gym?
I
Like
don't know.
what was your favorite memory back then? If,
I don't know. There was just so many different. It was just so many different great memories back then. Because we were all extremely close.
yeah.
And I mean, you had Tommy Hearns, you had Milt McCoy, you
Oh,
had.
wait, hold on. Sorry to interrupt you. Like, was there a time where you guys were like all champions? Like, was there like, oh, there's five of you guys and you guys all hold the belts, or like three guys at the gym and you all hold the belts? Like, what was the most amount?
I think the most amount really was. It was. I think it was three because I think
Uh,
Tommy was a champion at. This is after I had lost the championship. When I won the championship, it was me and Tommy. We were champion for a long time. And then after I lost the championship, it was Tommy. Tommy won a second championship. And then it was Milton and Jimmy Paul. He was another champion from the Kronk Gym that came up, and he was champion too at the same time. So I think the most champions that Kronk had at the same time was probably three champions.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, yeah. I
You,
mean, there's some gyms that don't have any
oh
champions.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Hmm.
do you still talk to Tommy Hearns now?
Yeah, I do. I do. In fact, we went to a championship fight in Las Vegas not that long ago. I guess it was about 6 months ago.
Oh yeah,
We
well,
went to it was a Canelo fight, and I'm trying to remember who the guy's name that Canelo fought.
oh, that one guy that was doing all that running.
Yeah, I don't think it was that guy because this guy came out, he was fighting. He came out, but Canelo dropped him in the very first round. But what impressed me about the guy is the guy got up, you could tell he understood that he simply made a mistake and got caught. And
Oh,
he really
was it where was the fight?
it was in Las Vegas. It was in
Las
Las
Vegas.
Vegas.
Was it
Yeah.
that Puerto
Uh,
Rican guy from New York?
Nah, I don't think so. I'm trying to. I don't think he was a Puerto Rican guy. I'm trying to remember his name, but I cannot remember his name.
Mm,
But I really was. I was impressed with that guy for a number of reasons. One is because of the way he got up. When he got up, you could tell he didn't get excited. He didn't, start changing the style.
yeah.
He just knew there were some things that he didn't do that he deliberately needed to do. And he started doing those things, and of course he lasted the entire fight. He lost the fight, but
Yeah.
he did. It ended up going 12 rounds.
Who are some of your favorite fighters now?
Oh, my favorite fighter now is probably the same as everybody's favorite fighter right now is Bud Crawford. I mean that
You're right about that. I think that's
yeah.
everyone's favorite fighter right now. You
That
know?
that brother, he's just.
Uh,
I mean, he is. He is. Not only is he a machine, but the brother is a smart machine. This brother is. He just really is. He's really smart. He's really ring wise, and it's not like he's really that old, But he really is. He's
he's a
just a smart individual. Yeah, he's got his head on right too. That's another thing I like about him.
I like Javante Davis too, though.
Oh yeah, Javante Davis. Yeah, I mean, not only Javante Davis is a big puncher, and not only that, I think he hits you with shots that you never even see. I think there are a number of guys that he fought that he caught these guys, and they never even seen the punch.
Yeah, straight up. He's caught some guys with some nasty shots. Yeah, I can't.
Oh yeah. And they were just as surprised as they could possibly be. I see we got John back.
Yeah, welcome
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. Mike select up a little bit, but I'm back.
I was
I'm
about
back.
to close off the interview, but if you have
Go
some
ahead, man.
couple
No, go ahead.
questions, you can
No,
go
we're
for
gonna
it.
we're gonna have Helmet back on, so we'll have some questions then. We'll have him back on for sure.
Yep, I'll look forward to it anytime, guys. Just let me know. I'll look forward to getting together with you guys.
Those
Yeah,
voices ain't nothing close to
Appreciate your time
kilometer
here.
test. The
It's a pleasure to have you, man. Great to have you on the show, man. I love your insight, and definitely I want to have you back on.
All
it
right,
was
we'll look
great
for.
meeting you, Helmet. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you
thanks
for
so much,
coming on
guys.
the show. Thank you for your stories, man. It was great meeting you.
All right, sounds
Definitely.
good. I'll look forward to talking with you guys again.
All right, brother. You guys take care.
All right.
Later on.
In a world of endless noise, one sound cuts through. GC Radio Hub. Your world, your sound. Imagine your favorite voices following you everywhere. From your smartphone to your car, your smart TV, even your virtual assistant. GC Radio Hub connects you to a universe of content. Check out our wonderful interviews on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, live music shows and podcasts. All at your fingertips. Android TV, Apple TV, Roku, Fire Stick TV. We're there wherever you are, because the only way to stay connected is to get connected. Download the GC Radio Hub app today and let your world come alive.